Today's my rest day, and it's also the 50-second video that I make in a row for YouTube. So I decided to gather my thoughts and to write down what I've learned from the experience so far. Some things came straight away, some others I had to think about a little bit. But overall, I've actually learned a lot so far. So here's a list of things in no particular order. Number one, there's always something to talk about. I was scared that I would have been very monotonous and repetitive, and generally that I would have struggled to find things to say after a while. But actually I realized that there's always something to say. The possibilities are endless. In fact, I think that I'm only now starting to open up to the possibility of what can be talked about. What helped me here was to not hold back. We always feel like we need to save the best for later, but actually there's always more to be discovered. And so it's almost always worth sharing everything you've got for the day. It's probably another thing itself to add to the list, to not hold back. Number two, to be more conscientious. I talked about this topic in one of my first videos. It's definitely something that I felt I had to get better at in order to regain a bit of confidence in myself. I actually said this in my first ever video. Just saying that I would do something and then actually do it. Number three, to be more organized. It goes without saying that this was an essential skill to sharpen in order to be able to film and edit one of these every single day, on top of Instagram, coaching, business, my own training, and everything else. I'm naturally quite a messy person, so I had to learn the skill in the first place. I guess that would be for most people, to be fair. So I know that I can still do better, but it's definitely improved since starting this. Number four, to give more. This is something that I cyclically come back to, especially when I feel like there isn't much of a return in energy or money from work or anything else. To be fair, you could apply this to relationships too. I always ask myself, am I focusing on giving? What am I giving? How am I contributing? What value am I adding to this or that person? And what else can I give? And usually that's when the energy starts to flow better, in my opinion. YouTube is definitely a way for me to give more. And it helped me refocus on that and come out of myself a little bit. Number five, to have a clearer sense of direction. One of the reasons I wanted to start YouTube in the first place was to redirect my journey in order to have something to document. So finding a better sense of direction with my own training was an essential part of it, especially in the first few weeks, and the clarity that I gained from it is priceless. Number six, habits over everything. They say it takes 21 days to create a habit. In this case, it definitely took longer, let me tell you. But it's true that we are creatures of habits. And this was a hell of a habit that I had to create. And at the back of that, it came a strong reminder to focus on the micro daily habits to build your future or to change patterns. Number seven, we can get used to anything. The idea of filming every day for a year was exciting, but also very overwhelming, especially in the first week when I actually started doing it and I understood what it takes to do it. But it's true, as human beings, we can get used to anything. And it's a blessing and a curse. But in this case, I started getting used to it much quicker than I thought. Both to the idea of it and the practicality of it. I lost count, I don't know how many numbers we are now. Anyway, prioritize. Of course, with learning to organize my time better, it came the need to prioritize more, because we only have a limited amount of energy and time to get everything done properly nonetheless. Which is another skill in itself, to be honest. Being able to know what's really important at all times and put those things first before anything else definitely made me realize that some of my priorities have changed. Not to the point that I feel my core values are different, but definitely in a way that this revolutionized the way that I spend my energy. Next, to be more myself. This is a big one. Generally, I'm an open book and I am myself most of the time. I am myself with my loved ones, with my friends, with my clients, basically with everyone. But when the camera is rolling, it definitely becomes more difficult to be authentic. We feel like we need to put on a persona that is more interesting than us, when in reality, it's always the opposite. One of my goals with this channel is to be as authentic as I can, as possible, all the time. And actively working more for that gave me the opportunity to discover more about myself. The final one, of course, is that you need faith. I'm not referring to religious faith, Not necessarily. Dedicating a lot of time to this channel on a daily meant making some sacrifices. Some smaller ones, some bigger ones. But even after making all the research and calculations, an act of faith was needed to get started, and even more to keep going. For this, I'm extremely grateful. The more I put faith in this, and the easier it becomes to put faith back in myself as a whole, regardless of the outcome of the situation and the different scenarios. I'm following through from taking the leap, and I can feel my faith growing. This is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If it's your first time here, I'm posting one vlog a day for a year straight. So if you enjoyed this, if you found it valuable, feel free to like, leave a comment, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.